All right, welcome back. What to do, what to do. It is a whopper of a Wednesday show. Lots to talk about and lots to do, getting right through hour two here. We're joined here to get a little perspective from the Republican side, try to make heads or tails of what the heck is happening. All kinds of crazy reports out there that Mitch McConnell is in favor of impeachment. These are all leaks from the New York Times and stuff. But let's break it down. Joining us today, Andrea Kaye is with us. She's the host of the Andrea Kaye Show, Republican strategist as well. Hey, Andrea, thanks for joining us.
Wednesday.
Andrea, what do you make of what the heck is going on here? There's all these reports that Mitch McConnell is furious, and there are 5 defectors in the House who are voting with the Democrats for impeachment. Doesn't this just fracture the Republican Party going forward?
I think the Republican Party going forward has already been fractured. And the fracturing's been going on for a long time. Look, to me, what's going on is this is a message to the Trump supporters. I actually believe that Mitch McConnell not necessarily was saying things exactly the way it's been put out there, but do I believe that Mitch McConnell wants to get rid of Trump and therefore squash the MAGA movement? Absolutely. That's what this is about. That's why whatever happened at the riot was used by those Republicans who magically whipped out all those speeches in which they said, I was going to contest those electoral votes until I saw what happened at the Capitol. They were looking for an excuse to shove Trump aside and therefore shove us aside. This is a message to the American people. What happened in 2016 isn't going to happen again. We're not going to let you riffraff of 75 million voters, bring in some outsider to try to hold us accountable here in Washington. That's not the way it's going to go down any further. And one of the ways that I think both parties are doing, one directly, one indirectly, is allowing the MAGA movement to all now be considered domestic terrorists and insurrectionists because we dared to question an election, and therefore they can go along with us being punished for continuing to support Trump. Very dangerous.
Yeah, the drum is already beating loud and clear. On Morning Joe this morning, they're basically making all Trump supporters equal white supremacists now, and they're all insurrectionists, and they all should be on no-fly lists. And they literally, there was one commentator was talking about, half jokingly, but I don't think jokingly, quite honestly, this guy from PBS was talking about how they should take Trump supporters' kids away from them and re-educate them from the cult they were raised in. It's like really bizarre that these people can't understand that there are other points of view in this country that people want to subscribe to, and that's kind of what America was founded on.
Yeah, absolutely. America was to think that on behalf of that due to, I don't know, 50, 100, thugs that actually many of which were led into the Capitol, by the way, by the cops. Nobody's really talking about that. But however bad and ugly anybody behaved at that Capitol, to think that that is being used as an excuse that even is including Republicans to suppress speech, to deny us. First of all, we have 70% of Republicans, 30% of Democrats, 42% of independents believe today, after the Capitol riot, that the election was stolen. So our voices were stolen then. Now they're doing everything that they can to suppress any means that we have to express ourselves in protest and to deny us our First Amendment rights, and then get on board with punishing us. It's absolutely outrageous, and it's really scary. And we don't have anybody. I'm not watching any of this persecution, rally going on today at the Capitol, these persecution hearings, because I'm not interested in speeches, John, by anybody who was, in the Republican Party that had power for 4 years to stop the cancel culture, to stop the persecution of citizens for their political beliefs. I think what President Trump should do in his last week in office is I think he should sign an executive order. No, it won't be enforceable in the end. However, I think it would be good strategy for him to sign an executive order that says it is against the law to discriminate against any American for their political beliefs, and it's a hate crime to attack any American for their political beliefs. And I think it would box the Republicans and the Democrats in. They would have to either support it or go against it.
Yeah, well, it sure seems like, the political class Trump supporter is quite the disqualified movement right now, and the walls are closing in, not only with the progressives. The whole Democrat Party wants to bulldoze that thing and bury it in a mass grave, and it does seem like some of the real swamp creatures on the right, they want to see it dead also, because it was kind of screwing up their mojo with all their lobbyists and everybody for the last 4 years.
Well, yeah, and it was also one of the things that President Trump accomplished very well is the exposure of how deep, we knew things were bad. In 2016, when people chanted lock her up, it wasn't just about Hillary. It was about the American people already knew we had two sets of laws and two sets of rules. One's for the elites, Democrats, particularly at that point, we thought, and one for us peasants. And so we knew there was and drain the swamp was another chant. And so for 4 years, President Trump in office exposed how truly far and wide the deep state was. And it includes the Republican Party, many of which, why is it that they did nothing? Why did they have a veto-proof majority, John, to remove the protections of big tech, to stop them from doing what they're doing right now to the American people? The Republicans did nothing. They allowed President Trump to be impeached over that phone call to Ukraine. Did they bring in Hunter Biden? Did they raise what was going on and do any investigations of Biden Inc.? No. Trump's own guy, Bill Barr, basically said, press pause on any investigation into Hunter. And the Republican Party knew this. The Republican Party allowed President Trump and anybody associated with him to be targeted by the FBI and DOJ for persecution. And, but then they wouldn't investigate Hunter Biden. Why? Was it because there were some other Republicans that maybe were in on it? Look, President Trump is going out on the same way he came in, facing two opposition parties. He came in under a coup attempt that was launched under false accusations that he did election interference as a Putin puppet. And he goes out under another coup attempt under a false accusation that he launched an insurrection act to overturn an election. And in the middle of all that was the Republican Party that allowed multiple coup attempts and all of this to happen. And, the MAGA movement isn't going anywhere because our eyes were open thanks to President Trump, and we're here to stay.
I couldn't agree with you more. I have a tendency to interrupt my guests because I love hearing myself talk, but I could listen to you talk all day. You're fantastic. Andrea, now final minute and a half or so here. Eric Swalwell is a known sympathizer to the Chinese Communist Party. He's was shacking up with and taking donations from a known Chinese intelligence agent. And it turns out that he's actually on the impeachment team. It's amazing that he's still allowed to walk the halls of Congress, but yet he's one of the guys that wants to cancel Trump.
Yeah. And if he was a Republican, would he even still be in office? No. Would he still be in office? No, I mean, and are the Republicans even, trying to embarrass him right now over Fang? Absolutely not. I think it's great that the Republicans want to say, oh, we're the party of rule of law. We don't do this. We're above this. We're the first to throw ourselves out. We're the first to self-flagellate, beat ourselves in the back with that thing that people do to bloody themselves. Yeah. But, at some point, I don't know how much of it, I've been trying to figure out how much of it is just weakness or how much of it is that they're in on the game, because it's absolutely astounding to me that we have not just him, but we still have Ilhan Omar sitting on the Intelligence Committee after she was out here in California raising money for CARE. And look at all the multiple times she got busted, for shenanigans with fundraising. So there's still two sets of rules.
All right.
One for not just the elites and one for the peasants, but one for Democrats and one for Republicans. And it makes the Republican voters go, well, it's just a one-party rule. Why are we voting Republican?
No doubt about it. You are on fire today. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, Andrea. You're awesome. We got to have you back soon. Andrea Kaye, host.